Victimizer programming, what is it and how to navigate it? I'm Michál and thank you for joining me today. So it's juicy times for digging into the work internally and working through the self. Wherever you are in that journey, we're going to talk a little about this program, which is prevalent on the earth. We've all been navigating it in some way, somehow, for eons, and are moving out of it if we so choose. So kind of some paramount things of victimizer programming. It's kind of the classic blame game or poor me game, and it tends to fling in duality. We're going to stay on that pendulum forever because we always go back and forth here. Some classic statements in the victim part might be like, it's just so hard, or, oh, I'll just be quiet, I'll just shut up, and no one wants to hear me, fine, I'll just go over here, I'll just go over here and be by myself, that kind of thing. Or I'll just leave, I'll just, nobody wants me here anyway. I'm no good, I'm so bad, I should just get out of here. I can't do anything right. You never let me, or you don't let me do this, or you always do something, or anything of that nature. On the blaming side, it might look like, oh, well, you're so great, or you're so perfect, or you're so blah blah, or some sort of taking something and insulting you, or what about you? What do you do? It's a defense program, kind of comes with it. So defensiveness will usually kick in. What do you do? Or what about you? Or you always do this, or so do you, right? Or you might hear, well, oh, I got this way because of what? Because of something you did. Or if so-and-so wouldn't do blah, blah, then I wouldn't do blah, blah, right? So that's shifting responsibility, shifting blame to someone else. And so what's paramount at victimizer and getting out of it is taking self-responsibility. Self-responsibility is our first tool. Because when we take responsibility for our actions, we look at what we're actually doing, then we can start to peel these things away when we get honest and authentic with ourselves, which is the number one thing we have to do if we're going to do real inner work and peel the layers away. So if we're in victim programming, you usually, with all programs, have about 30 seconds before that program clicks in and starts running. So if you can, you want to try and catch it and move away from the situation and go into this pearl process that I've talked about many times. You can reference my Picking Up the Pearls video. So if you're on the other side of that and you're holding space, and let's say you're watching the victim program ignite in somebody else, maybe you're out of your trauma. A victimizer comes with trauma, okay? So it's really our wounding that creates that. We're scared, we're afraid, we don't feel loved, we don't feel good enough, we're still navigating these deep wounds within the self. Our inner child needs support. And so ultimately we want to then create a relationship with the inner child, which is what this Picking Up the Pearls does, is you're finding these memories and these places where you've activated wound, and you're finding a way to retrieve the energy that you left there so we can come into wholeness. So at this time, a lot of people are moving through their trauma and are unweaving and making choices to let go. It's like the next wave of movement, right? So there are many of you who are already through that trauma and might not be navigating these lower chakra woundings any longer. So on that end of it, you're watching the programming take place, maybe in a loved one or a friend. And so then your job gets to become holding deep space and patience and compassion for your loved one or your friend, because they're just navigating wounding within the self. So that can really be the first thing about that is don't engage with the program. So you usually can see the first shift, you see an energetic shift. Let's say a trigger is when, classic trigger, you're a sissy, and then the person shifts and it becomes different. So when that shift or difference takes place, then you've already clued in that the program has ignited. So at that point, you don't really want to engage with a program. You really want to just be love. So the opportunity is to be love and to hold that place in yourself. So the program may try to get you to engage by doing some of these things I just said, engaging you or insulting you or trying to make it like you're doing the same thing or it's your fault or projecting it upon you, which often happens. So instead of any of that, you're going to stay in neutral space, holding your neutrality and your own love. And no, it's not where I'm coming from. I'm going to stay here, even if it goes to a really place or a really heightened place. If depending on the person and how they operate, they might be a really sad and depressive and could do that kind of journey, or it could be a really angry and abrasive, or anywhere in between. So in essence, you're just holding your own truth. Like, no, this is what my truth is. Speak your truth and speak it in love. Stay in neutrality. If the person that is in that programming is hitting something in you and you're starting to feel like, ooh, I want to get involved in this and get dirty and I want to get in there too, and I'm starting to feel like, what? Excuse me, what? If I'm starting to feel that, now it's hitting somewhere in me that's I'm still holding, which means I'm not really out of that trauma or that program, and I need to find it too, which means I can also use the picking up the pearls and find that moment that it's hitting. So that what is that hitting that is keeping me from staying in my love or my neutrality? So that's always our opportunity, is to stay in our love, stay in our neutrality. And we're presented that opportunity in all sorts of ways, like all day long, right? And so if the other part of that, let's see, when you're holding space, is you want to, sorry, I made a couple notes that I wanted to tell you. Let's see. Oh, the engaging the program, paying attention. But if you are in programs like that you are navigating, you want to also put yourself in situations that challenge you. So if you know that kind of person is really difficult for you and that's a hard energy, then put yourself around that energy and see if you've actually conquered your own self, or are you still getting triggered by someone that reminds you of your horrible mother, or that energy that was familiar from the father figure, or whatever program you're running from whoever wounded you. When we put something like it around us, it's going to bring out whatever's still left. See, so in that case, you're kind of like giving yourself a quick start, like, I'm going to go be around that energy and see what comes up in me so I can pick up my pearls and release it and get back into neutrality, which is really always what we're trying to do, is stay in our love, stay in our neutrality and in our compassion. And if you resonate with kind of being a starseed, or being in that place, being already through some of the gates of trauma, and you're really just meditating unity, going into greater places in that regard, a good reminder is that we're moving out of 3D into a 5D reality, and we can't expect those that have been in really deep trauma. That's a slow process, and it requires a holding of a hand, right? And patience on all of our part, wherever we are in this process. It requires us to have patience. Something that's helped me recently, I can be impatient myself, and something that helps me to think about is just like, if you're someone that is already at the end of the thought, like I find myself often, I'm already at Z, I've already thought out the whole thing and I'm ready to move to the next place, or let's solve it. And processing, I don't want to do that part sometimes, right? So it's being engaged in the process wherever it's at. A person may not be ready to receive more than that, right? All I can give them is A, right? So I have to be content with A and really enjoy A and how they're experiencing A, and really be in joy and harmony with that process, and then joyfully go to B, right? And not want it to be at Z. So I say to all of us out there too, to remember to just be with what is currently, the process we're in right now. Some of us want it to be over. We're like, can we just get there already? And some of us are just fighting it, or maybe we find ourselves, some people I know are hitting themselves on the head a lot around it. But instead, or surprise or shock or fear, don't let yourself go into any of those places with what the world is doing out there. It's really trying to hit this victimizer and keep us in this flop of activating this fear-based programming, which really keeps one in duality and keeps one in bondage and enslaved. The emotions are what are driving all of the other blocks and restrictions. We lock ourselves up with all this stuff, right? We lock ourselves with, I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. So you're peeling that away so that you can come into alignment and know that I am, and I love myself, and that this is a temple of the living God, and that love lives here. And the more you claim that love lives here, this is the temple of the living God, I choose to embrace love. It is ultimately a choice, and it's one that we have to hunger for, because the world is doing everything in its power to fragment and separate. So it's something you must choose with your mind, soul, spirit. So we're conquering our mind, conquering the things that are trying to tell us to fragment or separate, and we're choosing to embrace. So ultimately, the best tool, one very simple tool we can use in the midst of any trigger, is to embrace. It's kind of like ding, 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 50,000 points on the video game. When we do small choices each day, we embrace 25 points, 25 points. But when you're in a trigger and it's really hard and everything in you wants to push away and be like, I hate you, or rah, 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 whatever your thing is, whatever resistance you're experiencing, if you can breathe and remember that whatever's in front of you is just a reflection of what's still going on inside of you, and you can take responsibility for what you're feeling, you can say, I want to push through that, and I want to choose love. And you can either embrace physically if it's required, or embrace by listening, or embrace by getting present, or embrace by looking someone in the eye. Making that choice to move through the fire is ding, 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 50,000 points. You go so fast and you start spiraling quickly. So those are big moments. So that's why if you hit the moments big and you go put yourself in situations where you got to hold it, 50,000 point moments, you're moving through into 0 point, and you're owning that neutrality where ultimate freedom is, because ultimately you are in charge of your own game. Nobody has the power to make you feel anything. You choose what you feel at all times. So we claim that in the self, and that's how you own that, right? I'm in charge of my vessel. Nothing has power over me. I am connected to the God of my heart, the earth, and nothing else. Seeing yourself in a protection each day as you walk through the day, not attached to anything else, enlivened in your own essence, in a field of protection. You can put yourself in a mirror shield, roses, and you move forward from there. Okay, thank you. I hope this has been helpful. And remember, the light has already prevailed. We're just walking it out. Thanks and praise. Mahalo nui loa ke akua. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like more videos, you can visit my YouTube at michalannalove. Thank you so much. Aloha.